I haven't done one of these OptionVue Essentials walkthroughs in a while, so this is going to be kind of the getting started video for anyone just getting a trial of OptionVue or getting going for the first time. We're going to go over some settings. A lot of things are new, so it's good to do one of these videos every once in a while. But jot down your questions if you have any, and go ahead and throw them out there at the end. I'm going to kind of cruise through because I want to really try to cover a lot in a relatively short amount of time. I can really talk about OptionVue for hours on end, it seems, when I do walkthroughs. But I'm going to go ahead and share my OptionVue screen. And should be seeing my OptionVue now. So right off the bat, what I wanted to do is go ahead and start up here in the upper left-hand corner of OptionVue. Under File, the biggest thing that I use here, I mean, there's a lot of things you can do here. Of course, this is where you would go to import and export data. OptionVue is very Excel friendly. That's kind of an advanced topic, but this is where you would go to do that. One of the biggest things is at the top here, Preferences. And with Preferences, you can really customize colors in OptionVue. There's some font that you can change, and mostly has to do with the quotes, not the quotes display, but the quotes display, and then also in the graphic analysis. So I have the crispy setting going on right now, and then I, of course, want to do the 8-point font and recommend that as well. I'm not sure if that's the default or not, but it just helps you see break-even lines on the graphic analysis clearer. Okay. The other next one that's important here is graphic analysis. This is something I share with people right away. The display T+N, which means when you're doing graphic analysis, if you want to see T+5 would be today plus 5 days, or you can select to have dates displayed. I prefer the dates. Next section down is the graphic analysis highlights T+0 to start. I highly recommend this. Otherwise, when you look at a risk graph, it's going to show you expiration immediately, and most people are not trading into or through expiration. So this is a good one to have here. Graphic analysis highlights T+0 to start. Okay, there's some other customizations you can make in here, but these are the main ones to focus on when you're first getting started. Okay, I'm going to OK out of here. So that was, again, under File and then Preferences. Next one, we're going to go to Edit. I'm not really going to do anything here, but I'm just going to talk about it for a moment. Underneath Edit, you can, a lot of people have Macs, and if you have a Mac and you're using an emulator to run OptionVue, because OptionVue is a window-based program, of course, you usually don't have an insert button on your keyboard. So this is a way to go and insert a row. For instance, as you can see on my quotes display, I'm highlighted on MCD, McDonald's, right now. If I select that insert row button, it's going to put a row in right by MCD, and then you can type in your symbol there. Same thing with the next one down is insert column, where, as you can see along the column headings here, I have a number of different column headings which you can customize, and I'll show you that in a second, but this is where you would go also to insert a column. Okay, the delete key on your keyboard, if you have one, will delete a row or column, and if you don't have that button, you can do the same thing with this delete row or delete column selection here. Paste symbols is nice because if you import into Excel a list of underlined symbols that you're interested in, or a watch list, or anything like that, you can go ahead and highlight that selection in Excel and then come into OptionVue here. And for instance, if I had a row selected in Excel and I was highlighted on MCD like I am in the quotes display, and I said paste symbols, all of those symbols would then populate beneath MCD and create all those new rows. Okay, let's edit. Next one is View, and we're going to talk about View for a moment because this is where you're going to go pretty much at the beginning, or to change any default settings that you want to going forward. The first one that we're going to focus on is default models. Okay, this is really important because a lot of times people will be putting trades on when they first get OptionVue and then do some analysis, and the default slippage I believe is set to small. And even with small slippage, it's going to affect your theoretical risk lines significantly because it's considering that you're not going to get the market price when you get out of the trade. It's going to, anticipate that if you're buying, you're going to be buying more towards the ask, and if you're selling, you're selling more towards the bid. And you can increase the slippage range all the way up to actually buying at the ask and selling at the bid. So I recommend none. None is just basically saying that you're getting a market price for whatever you're putting on, and whatever you're going to, once you put it on, whatever it anticipates you're going to get out at. In the lower right-hand corner here is how we calculate market price. The default is a very smooth average of the bid and the ask and the last, and then divide by 21. A lot of brokerage platforms use, one of these down here. So that's just something for you to know that you're going to be. This is how we calculate the market price. Okay. We use a Yates model, which is a variation of the Black-Scholes model that's defaulted as well. Okay, so that's the main thing here is slippage. Next topic I want to cover under View is the default Autostrike. This is really important depending on what you're trading. I am usually doing at the money, slightly in the money, but mostly out of the money trades is what I do. That's why I have my strike range out of the money extent set to large, and the in the money set to small. Okay, I believe these come defaulted as moderate, small, and moderate, something like that. But you can change between small, moderate, and large. And so what this does is every time you open up an options chain in OptionVue, you'll see wherever the at the money is that day is where this range is going to be set. Okay. Over here in the lower left-hand corner, use natural intervals is the default. I like to see all the strikes that are available. And then once I'm in an options chain, I can then customize if I want to, only use natural strikes, or only use 5-point strikes, or 1-point intervals. The natural strikes, what this is doing is, for instance, something trading weekly is like, you can use Apple for example, is where if you're using natural intervals, a lot of strikes that are potentially trading are going to be eliminated. The reason is that further out contracts may not have those smaller increments of strikes trading yet. So what it does is it tries to shrink the matrix down so that there's no blank spaces across an options chain. Just something to know. If you see something, you're missing strikes, you can always again customize this if you want to. Over in the lower right hand corner, it's important to include weeklies if available. Including weeklies if available, this is not defaulted, so you'll not see weeklies unless you come in here and set this up. So anytime you open up an options chain with this default setting, you will see the weeklies if they are underline is in fact trading weeklies. Okay. Standard options, these are the options that you would know, your May contract, June contract, not to be confused with monthlies. Monthlies are contracts that expire on the last day of the month. A lot of institutional investors will use the monthlies. A lot of times, sometimes you'll see this as well. People will call and say, hey, I'm missing a weekly. Well, depending on when a monthly or a quarterly may expire, it could in fact be trading as a weekly as well. So just a little tidbit there to know. But if you are interested in trading weeklies, make sure you come in here and check this box off here. I'm going to OK out of here. And next thing under View is the default matrix format. This is how you see the options chain when it comes up. And you can set up to 3 different defaults. Okay, you would basically change all of these settings and then hit set default 1, then change them again and hit set default 2. I recommend a 1x5. The default is a 1x4. Okay. This is market price, implied volatility, Very important to have a trade and existing position column in your options chain. That way you can look at proposed trades or adjustments. Once you find a trade you like, you would then convert the trade, which then turns into an existing position. Okay, so that's why those two are very important to have, or at least one default with those set up. And then the fifth column I like to use as a column that you can change on the fly. Okay, and there's a wide range of alphabetized parameters that you can set up for all of these here. Okay. So those are the main things that I go over when I first talk to someone that's just getting started with OptionVue. So that covers pretty much View. There are other things down here. Import earnings plays. This has to do with our earnings module. Earnings search is a nice feature. Basically, it just allows you to see what companies are coming out with earnings within the next, week or so, or however far out you want to look. And then you can also, with the earnings search, which is available to anybody, sort those based on how many options are traded, if they even trade options, what the underlying price is as far as a minimum there. So that's what the earnings search feature does there. Moving on to window. Okay, window is nice because sometimes you will be using OptionVue and you may have something that you minimize that might be behind the quotes display. For instance, you can see I have Trade Finder hidden behind here, my initial screen. This is a nice way to come and just grab something that might be minimized or kind of cascaded down behind the scenes. The next one is NetView. NetView is where you're going to come really to update asset files, price chart files, collect backtrader data, or go to backtrader. Any back testing you do, going to look at historical prices, you're going to go to backtrader. I'm not really going to go into backtrader very much today. We do have videos that talk extensively about it, and I'll show you where to get those later. But if you click on backtrader, this window comes up. One little tip is I recommend storing to existing asset files when you first get this going. Basically, it's just storing the settings and things that you do when you're using OptionVue as a time machine. You can use this calendar button, or you can actually type in here. And once you got to the date you wanted to, you would hit start. The entire OptionVue system will think it's that date and time once you do that. Okay. S button moves you by half an hour backwards in time, forward in time. B is by day. Okay. Okay. Next one is one other thing I'll touch on with under NetView is updating asset files. This is important if you are running Trade Finder. We're not going to talk about the scanning tools today, but basically what updating asset files does is it's opening up option chains, essentially open up a matrix behind the scenes without you having to do it. So if for any reason you had a number of positions and you wanted to see, the big picture of where you're at right now, you want to make sure you update the asset files because it's grabbing all of the current option prices for that particular day, with, like I said again, without having to open up each individual matrix. Okay, so that's what updating asset file does. Okay, moving on to help. Okay, we'll touch on this real quick. This is where if you're ever talking to our technical support and they say, hey, I want to remote in and help you out, look over your shoulder, this is where you go to open remote support. Once you click that, a little window would pop up and you would have to give either one of the product consultants like myself or one of the tech guys your ID that pops up in a little Amy admin window when you click on that button. Okay. If you want to see the release notes, all the latest things that have come out in OptionVue and that have come out in the past, that's where you would click for that. This will take you to tutorial videos. This will take you to our management center. If you need to download OptionVue, that's where you do it, is at our management center. But this takes you to our company homepage, and there's a ton of resources. I'm going to drag over my screen over here so that you can see this real quick. And this is under the support tab. is where you're going to find the most useful information, helpful how-to videos, our online help system, which is basically our user manual, index, so you can actually search a topic at this online help here. Great resource. I use it often. If you go to helpful how-to videos, click on this and then click on OptionVue how-tos. These are some of the biggest videos that I'm sharing with people. How to set up OptionVue with Google Drive or Dropbox so that you can have multiple versions of OptionVue all in sync on different computers. How to set up OptionVue for use with Thinkorswim. How to import trades from TOS. These are really, really great short videos on how to do a lot of things that people are asking for. How to transfer account records from one computer to another. So these are great resources, and there's tons of OptionVue essential videos from the past that everyone here at OptionVue has done. Okay. So just wanted to share that that resource with you there. Okay. So that pretty much covers these tabs up here. Okay. When you first open up OptionVue, you've gone through those settings. Now you're in the quotes display, and the quotes display comes with some defaulted groups like indexes, stocks, futures. You can delete any of this. Just highlight something, hit delete, key on your keyboard, or under edit at the top and delete row. And then you can hit the insert button and put it back in again if you wanted to. Okay, so that's how you can insert and delete and basically totally customize this whole entire quotes display. Okay, these are called groups. This is my index group. This is my OH group. This is my watch group. Basically, what you can do is any row that you create, you can put a pound sign in front of it or a number sign there, and you can, after anything you type after that is now going to be the name or title of that group. Okay. When you are updating asset files, that's where a group comes into play. You can update just that group, or if you go into Trade Finder, you can run a Trade Finder under just that group or a survey. So that's where the groups come in handy. Okay. The other thing you can do is down at the very bottom here is you can have an unlimited number of tabs down here if you want to. Really, you only should need a few, but for instance, this is my live one. This is what I'm looking at all the time. You'll have, when you first start out with OptionVue, it'll say main, but then you could just right-click on it, insert a new tab if you want to, name it whatever you want, and then you can click on it, and now you've got a quotes display ready to start fresh with. Okay. And then, once you have that, you can manage it, meaning you can move it anywhere down the list you want to so that it shows up in a different spot. Okay, and then if you don't want that tab anymore, you can delete it and it's gone. Okay, so here's an example of my tab. I have the live tab, I have my futures tab. Okay, and as you can see, these little boxes here next to each group shows whether you have those quotes turned on or turned off. I don't look at the futures very often, so in order to keep my data flowing faster, I have these suspended. That's what the yellow means. If I want them turned on, I'll just click on that yellow box, and now I've got live quotes coming in for those futures. And you can see I have a time column here. And this is very important because it's nice to see. You can always double check right away and say, oh, I am getting a live quote. Okay. You can see these are stuck on the close from yesterday, and because it's showing these, actually it looks like I haven't had these turned on in a long time. So let me turn those on. Boom, you can see that. So these may have not been turned on since like April 21st, which is a while ago. But then again, like I said, this just by being able to suspend those quotes, because I have a number of different tabs down here, I keep my symbol limit, which is up here in the right-hand corner. Right now I have 303 live quotes coming in. down to a lower number. That way, like I said, the speed of the quotes is going to be affected by that. Okay. I have an ETF sector. You can see these are all turned on here. I have a separate page for my VXX trading tools. Okay. So just want to show you how customizable it is. The other nice thing is too is there's going to be a lot more columns here than are when you have your initial OptionVue trial download. DVO is a nice one that I like. It's dollar volume of options traded on a 5-day average. So it really shows you how liquid things are. Okay. What's kind of interesting that we noticed the other day is that you have Google and you have Google L now, Class A shares, and then the regular Google. The difference between the amount of shares traded between the two of them. Okay, sometimes there's a significant difference there, but this is where you'll see that information in the DVO section. Okay, the Google L actually is trading a little bit more shares, option shares than option contracts than the regular Google is. This is another very important one, the earn date. Highly recommend you have this because it shows you when the earnings announcement is coming out for that underlying. AMC is after the market close, the BMO is before the market opens. Okay, I like the time column. Okay, as I can see, I must have been showing somebody how to do this because I have a duplicate column here. I'm going to highlight it and just hit the delete key, and I got rid of that. Okay. So that is the quotes display. Let's move on to talk about these price charts real quick. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on these, but let's say I am, whatever you're highlighted on, you can then click on price chart. Okay. These buttons, this is the important part right here, is if you click on this little, looks like a price tag. This is where you can have set up some overlays and some lower charts if you want to. Okay. I can click on my overlays right now. Looks like I have some Bollinger Bands set up right here right now for that. This button is going to pull up where the earnings announcements were in the past. Okay. This is, we talked about this already, this is dollar volume options traded on a 5-day average. This is in terms of thousands. So whenever you see a number here, just add 3 zeros behind it. The other thing you can do is pull in a volatility chart, and that's what this button does right here. Okay, this is what a lot of people will use OptionVue for, is for our volatility charts, our volatility calculations. Our percentile numbers are huge. Under file preferences, I showed you at the beginning, you can actually go and set up how these percentiles are calculated. I have mine up on a 2-year basis, and what that means is currently the statistical volatility, often referred to as historical volatility, the red line here, is in the 28th percentile over the last 2 years. So, which means that 72% of the time it's been higher than where it is right now, and you can kind of see that, how low it is right here. IV is in the 74th percentile, which means only 25% of the, or roughly 26% of the time has it been higher than where it's at right now. Okay. You can left click on the chart anywhere, and you can see on that particular day the high, low, open, closed, volume, and where the SV and IV were and what percentile they were in at that point in time. Okay. Let's see here. You can draw some trend lines as well. This is one of my favorite buttons, to tell you the truth. It's the show profit zone. Okay, so we'll come back to that. I'll show you that in a few minutes, but that's one of my favorite buttons to use. So what this does, it shows the profit zone for a potential option trade or a live option trade that you have in the matrix. Okay. I'm going to close out of price charts. We'll touch back on that profit zone in a moment. But the other thing I wanted to talk about before we dive into the matrix and analyzing the trade is I want to talk to you about opening an account in OptionVue. You can you can really have an unlimited number of accounts in OptionVue, and you can switch between accounts from at the top right here. I'm just going to click on this so you can see, how many accounts I've had, campaigns that I back tested, different accounts that I've had open or have open at different brokerages, a lot of test accounts because I'm showing people how to do this. But great way to keep a lot of ideas on trading strategies or live accounts. You can also have a super account in OptionVue, which allows you to look at a number of accounts together as a big picture. And I'll show you about that too. But this is one way to switch between accounts. These are your account buttons. Info is where you will open an account and set up the account. The TLog is going to have all the transaction history. This is a transaction log for that particular account. Status kind of tells you where you are at with all the live positions you have on that account. And then the reports section generates reports based on all the activity that you've done in those accounts. How has the performance been of this particular campaign that you've done? And I'll touch on all these buttons, but we'll start with the info. If you want to start a new account, you would click on this new account button. Okay. Once you do that, a new account window comes up. You can name it whatever you want. And if you do have a trading account with Tradier, they're a brokerage, you could check that off. If you have an account with Track Data, I'm not sure if I need to open new accounts anymore, you would check that out. But if you wanted to make this a super account, say you had already created 6 different accounts, couple IRAs maybe that you have with different brokerages and a couple regular accounts you have, you could actually, then create a super account and be prompted on what accounts you want to have in that super account. So that's kind of down the road, but it's a great feature when you're able to look at your entire portfolio delta or where you are, with a beta delta base so that you can actually do some hedges. And we'll touch on that in a second as well. But for right now, most of the time, you're not going to be checking off any of these boxes. Said, okay, it's going to say, what date do you want to start this account? How much do you want to start this account with? Okay, this is not concrete. You can use this information in the transaction log because that's where all this information is going anyways at a later date if you want to. So it's not that important. Okay, now I can see my new test account, test 15 account is opened. Okay, and you can see that down here is where you can include slippage on open positions if you want to do that. But more importantly is GL to include previously realized GLs. Many people like this because a lot of the brokerages don't offer this. So this is something you could check off, and that way if you have a campaign running where you maybe you're running some kind of a butterfly or condor or something that you're rolling or making adjustments to and you want to see the big picture, this is where you'll be able to see that by checking this off here. In this lower left-hand corner is where you're going to be able to set up the commissions that you have going on. Okay, you can always add your commissions in manually. That's what I do. Personally, when I'm putting my live trades on, I will go in after I convert a trade. After I get filled at my brokerage, I'll come over back into OptionVue, convert the trade that I was looking to do, and then I will go back in and actually type in the TLog what I got filled at. Okay. If you want to get rid of an account that you just opened, you would then select this account is closed, hit delete account. Are you sure you want to do this? Yes. And now that account that I just created is gone, like I never did that. Okay, so now we're back in this little account K, which is my little test account I use to demo OptionVue. So once we're in an account, you click on the TLog. Okay, This is a question that I got earlier this, it might have been last week actually, but someone was saying, I put a trade in OptionVue and converted it, but I want to get rid of it. How do I do that? Well, what you can do is you can actually just come in to the TLog and you can delete that date. I just highlight the date, hit the delete key, and I hit OK, and it'll be like that trade never happened. Okay. What I do, like I said, when I convert a trade over, what I will then do is I will come over here and I say I didn't actually get 32.20 for this. I had to pay 32.23. My commission was not $7, it was $5. You can type these things in here. Okay. The only thing I really recommend you don't really tamper with is the symbols. But you can always come in here and adjust the price you actually got billed at, commissions, and even the date. Okay. If you wanted to put another deposit in here, you could put in and say you put a deposit into your brokerage account, okay, and the net was 10,000. Okay, so now you actually, I just put an extra $1,000 in this account by putting this deposit in here. Okay. Again, if you don't want that, just delete and hit OK, and it's like you never did it. Okay. Also, under the in the TLog, this R column is very important, and what's nice is you are able to basically give a code to a number of different positions you have in the same underlying. So if you have, maybe 3 broken wing butterflies in the SPX, you could say butterfly 1, butterfly 2, butterfly 3, butterfly A, B, or C. And what's nice is it keeps those trades separate. You can always, of course, see them all together, but it allows you to zero in on that particular trade and also generate reports based on that specific trade. So that's what the R column is for. Okay. Once you have a number of trades and positions on, you could then click on the status window. Okay, I really don't have much going on. This is kind of like I said, a junk account I just use to type things in and whatnot. So there's nothing really going on here, but any trade that you have on would be separated by these red lines here. If you had 3 butterflies in the SPX on and they all had different letters assigned to them in the R column, for instance, butterfly A, B, or C, they would each show up separately here. Okay. Once you have a lot of positions, you can, of course, put your underlying positions in here as well. This is where it's going to show you what your overall account buying power is, your margin requirements, what your portfolio delta is, where you are at this point in time. And you can also find hedges based on your portfolio. So when you have a number of positions in here, these beta delta base rankings here are going to tell you what your existing positions that you have on are closest related to, so that you could then find a hedge for that if you wanted to. Okay, kind of an advanced topic, but you would then, select the beta delta base. You could then go to Hedge Finder if you wanted to, and it would show you your existing portfolio. And if you wanted to find a hedge, you would click on this, and it's kind of self-explanatory from there. That's a really nice information. We also have a lot of people that are financial advisors or things like that. They'll use OptionVue to keep track of positions they have on for their customers, because you can have an unlimited number of accounts in OptionVue. Okay. Once you have a nice TLog, and it's important, I always tell people that if you're doing back testing, is to kind of keep the status window open. It's basically what's really generating reports. Okay, so not a bad idea to open up OptionVue, open up status, and then minimize it so that it's sitting down the bottom here. Because when you go to reports, this is what's going to show you all the realized gains, unrealized, combined. You're going to be able to select a period from this period to that period. How is it done? You can select based on symbol, strategies. These are all ways you can isolate and categorize different trades and strategies that you've done. Okay, it would then create a performance graph for you and show you, original investment, max drawdown, all these kinds of details about how your strategy is done, whether you're back testing or whether it's live, things like that. And you have a performance analysis. You can classify different trades that you're doing within a specific account so that it will show you how your straddles are doing, how your condors are doing, and you could have those all classified, and it would show you different charts here reflecting that. Okay. So that is the account buttons that you have up here: info, TLog, status, and reports. Okay. So let's go ahead and dive into an options chain here. And you can do it one of two ways. Basically, you can double click on the symbol, or you can highlight that symbol and click on the matrix button. Okay. Just so you know, these O's and S's, the S's being that in one of the accounts, of my many accounts, I am long a stock position. And if you hover over that S, it'll show you where you have those positions at. O's are for options. Okay, if you had futures, there would be an F. Okay, and if you click on it, it will show you what account it is. If there were multiple accounts, they'd be listed here, and then you could simply click on that, and then you would automatically be in that account, and you could go look at that position. Okay, let's go ahead and jump into Bank of America here. And so now you've got the options chain that pops up. Okay, this is what it initially looks like when you first set up OptionVue. Okay, this S button, when you click that, brings in the standard deviations. Okay, this pinkish reddish color here is the first standard deviation, blue takes you the second, and then white, you're out into the third standard deviation. Okay, if you ever wanted to go long an underlying position, I get this a lot. This is the actual. This legend over here is telling you what these fields are over here. Okay, this is the last, this is the change, the high and the low for the day. This is your trade and existing position fields, just like you have them for the option chains. If you wanted to go long, say you were long 100 shares, you would then type in 100 up here, and you can see this is what it would cost to go long 100. Okay, if you wanted to actually put this trade on and say that it was alive, you do actually have those, you would then hit the convert trade button. Okay, you're never going to type in the existing position fields. You're always going to type in the trade first and then convert it, because that is how it gets put into the TLog here. Okay, so if I wanted to say I wanted to sell, an option against that, you could come out here and sell one there, and you've got a covered call going on. Okay, and then it's going to show me this is my existing position down here, and this is the proposed trade I'm looking at doing. Okay, so then I could analyze that if I wanted to. Okay, so it shows you up here what we're looking at right now. We're looking at long 100 and short 1 May weekly 114 call. Okay, so then if I wanted to do this, I could then convert the trade and say now I've got a covered call on. Okay, this is the default setting that we initially talked about there. Okay, and you can switch between the default settings here. Okay, this is my number 2 default setting. This is my number 1. Okay, you can have up to 3. You can also, like I said, change this column on the fly, any of these columns. So let's say I just right-clicked on this column heading here, and I wanted to look at delta. Okay, or let's say I right-clicked on it, I want to say what's the probability of this strike being touched before expiration. Okay, it's blank because you have to actually run the Monte Carlo based probability calculator with this new button that comes up when you have this column selected. So I hit that, and now it runs the calculator for me, and it shows me that the probability of this 14.5, the underlying price be hitting 14.5 within the next 8 days is only 2%. Okay, this 14, it's 8% chance. Okay, so that's one of the things I like. One of the other ones I like is percent O/U. This means percent overvalued or undervalued. And what that is really doing is it's looking at OptionVue's theoretical price, looking at the market price, and telling you based on that information whether the current price is overvalued or undervalued. That having that field there, really does often present some nice opportunities to take advantage of. Okay, so once you start manipulating these column headings, you can always just come over here and click on your number 1 again and get back to what you originally had. Okay, now we went to the view and default matrix format, default Autostrike, and default models. Default Autostrike is something that you can customize for each particular underline. So say you wanted to have a different setting than your default for Bank of America. What you could do then is you could come into Define, and now there's an Autostrike tab here just for Bank of America. So you could then change it and say, for this particular underline, I only want to see 5-point strikes, and I don't care about weeklies, and I only want to see a small number of in the money, now the monies. Okay, you can change all of that in, for each individual underline here. Okay, if for some reason you have a gigantic matrix like Apple, and even with the settings set to large, there's still some out of the money strikes you haven't seen and want to, you can always come into this Define button and then go to Options tab, and then you can scroll down to the bottom here of this red section, and then you can type in whatever strike you want to. Type it in, hit the down arrow, and you can add strikes as you want to. Not very often you have to do that, but just a nice piece of information to know about. Yep. The other cool thing you can do is you can oftentimes right-click on this section here to add or eliminate a strike. I'm actually going to close out Bank of America for a second, show you in a different underline how to do that. Here's Chipotle. You can see how large of an options chain Chipotle is, because by opening up this matrix, I'm now looking at 1600, almost 1650. That's how many symbols, how many live quotes I have coming in now. Okay. And let's say I scrolled all the way up here and I still wanted to see something out of the money here. I could then right click and then left click on add a strike above 620. You can do that a couple times if you really want to. Same thing on the downside if you wanted to add a strike lower out of the money. And if they have another out at one of the restaurants, we could be having to add more strikes down here. But that's just another tidbit I want to show you. Because Bank of America is such a low price strike and there's not any trading there, that's why I wasn't able to demonstrate that feature on that matrix. Okay. So under Define, again, this is where you can customize what you're seeing for this particular underline, which overrides the default settings we set under View. Okay. So next button here is Model. Okay. Again, you can customize slippage for this particular underline if you wanted to, and how the market price is calculated. Okay. This is also where you can go to see volatility information about this particular underline. This is getting advanced. I'm not going to really cover this today, but you can see here that OptionVue knows when the earnings are coming out for this underline. Okay, it's already flattening out the skew curve, given this event date, that this is what the volatility is going to look like at that point in time. So if you put a trade on here that's after or within this April 8th expiration, it's going to do some really nice modeling and paint you a picture of what things are going to look like after the announcement, given the particular trade you put on. Okay. Legend, what this button does is, I'll show you. Okay. Basically, it pulls away the column headings, what they are, and same thing for the legend for the actual here. Okay. We talked about these are your default settings here. Okay. This is how you can customize the settings, matrix format settings, specifically for this underline if you want to. Okay. You saw me use the convert trade button. Let's say I was going to close this trade. To close a trade, you're going to put in the opposite trade that you have on. Okay, I'm going to sell these shares back and I'm going to buy this contract back. Okay, then I convert trade. That's how you get rid of an existing position. Okay, and you go in the TLog, you can see my opening transactions and my closing transactions. Okay. That's convert trades. Important expiration button. This is important. If you have an option, for instance, if I was long this 14.5 call right here, and it was, it's going to expire worthless, I could then expire. I would hit this expire options button, and it would take care of the transaction for you in the TLog. Okay. The spread window, basically what this does, it's kind of nice. It allows you to highlight this whatever contract you're looking at. Let's say I was going to buy that one and sell this one. So now I can see what the combination of those would look like together. Okay, I use this often when I'm going in to put spreads on, or verticals on, or calendars on, or whatever, because it does all the math and calculations for you, and it's in terms, usually in terms of a one lot, and how many of those lots do you want to put on. But usually you price those in terms of one lot, so I could come in there and say, okay, 3 cents is the market price. I'm going to go in there. I'm going to ask for 2 cents, or you want it right away, you're going to go and try to get it for 4 cents. But this does all the calculations and adding the Greeks together for you, and gives you a nice theoretical price for that particular spread as well. That's the spread window. Also, whenever you're in the matrix, if you ever want to see details about a specific option, you can double click on any of these rows for these particular strikes. So let's say for the April 23rd contract, I want to see all the details about this 13.5 call. I just double click there and it pulls up, it looks similar to the spread window, but it pulls up all the details about that specific contract. And you can even change the underlying price. Let's say Bank of America went to 15 today. What would my theoretical price be if underlying went to 15 today? It'd be now worth $1.52. You can even change the timeout. What if this was in 5 days from now? Okay, it's going to be in the money, so that's why it's staying relatively where it's at. But you can manipulate time and underlying price here. Great place to get all the details about that specific option right away. Okay, let's. Haven't nearly gotten as far as I want to, and we're running a little quick on time here. So let's go ahead and analyze something in the graphic analysis. So I'm just putting on a calendar here, and then I'm going to analyze it. Okay, that looks horrible. Why is that? Let me see what I have on here. My model, no slippage. Let's clear that trade. So now you can see I have a trade on here that looks terrible. I don't like it. I'm going to come up here to this pencil eraser and select clear trades. I could have simply come in here and manually backspace through the trade or hit the delete button, but this is a nice quick feature if you have a number of legs on that you want to get rid of right away. Let's look at something else that's got a little more action trading on it. Let's take a look at Google. Okay, so now we have Google here, and let's see. I can tell just by looking at this matrix when earnings are going to be coming out. Okay, looks like they're coming out next week, or not next week, but the week after. And the reason is I can see that the volatility is highest right here. Okay. Google's trading at 737. Let's take a look at a 770 spread here and see what this looks like. Okay, so basically, OptionVue, what it's going to show you is what it's going to look like modeled at the expected event date, which is 14 days from today. Okay, it's actually going to be, the event date is April 22nd. Okay, so black dot is where we would be right now if we put this trade on, and this is where we would be after earnings announcement. The diamonds down here show you where the at the money straddle is pricing the move to be in Google right now. Okay. This is our percent return. This is our dollar return we would get. X-axis represents, of course, the underlying price. Okay. This black dot represents where you would be real-time market prices. Every line you ever see in OptionVue is all based on theoretical modeling. Okay. So since we're highlighted on this line right now, we're seeing the future basis. We're seeing April 22nd, and what all your Greeks would be on that day for any particular underlying price. Okay. If you ever have questions about what these lines are representing and how they're coming to those calculations, you can always click on this detailed analysis button down here. Okay. And by doing that, it pulls up, this is what you would open the trade at. If you open this trade right now, this is what you get in at. And projected date of April 22nd, this is what you would get out at. Okay. So if Google did not move and stayed exactly at the same 737.78 it's at right now, you would lose 228. Okay. That's even taking into account some commissions here. Okay. This detail analysis button is nice as well because you can actually change the price. What if we actually get to 770? We're going to make 3,100. Okay. So they're, I'm probably going to end the presentation pretty soon here, but basically what OptionVue can do for you is it can paint a picture for you given any scenario of what could come, any movement in underlying price. You can actually, OptionVue is doing this manipulation of the volatility already for you because it's anticipating the event date, the earnings event. But you can also manipulate this volatility change yourself if you wanted to. So no matter what happens, you can, really see what's going to happen with any trade that you have on. Okay. The other nice thing about it is, let's say, you can really start doing some great analysis because now you can actually, let's say I wanted to, just highlighting this here, and then I'm going to hold down the control key, and I'm going to look at this one as well. And now I want to analyze this calendar instead. And now let's say, well, why would I want to do this one versus the other one? Well, now we can superimpose those two over each other to see which one do you like better, which one is going to look the best or fit your needs the best. And you can see here, by doing the one closer to expiration, you are going to get a lot more bang for your buck. But as you can see with this one, you're going to break even if the price doesn't move, and you've got a much larger kind of range of profitability. But the gain you would get from doing that front one is tremendously higher than this one here. And then you can, of course, always click on the lines and see where you're going to be for each of the color-coded trades. Are two different trades we're looking at here. So that's kind of an example of a walkthrough that I would do with somebody. I'm going to get rid of these trades here. Clear trades and close. And see if there's anything else I wanted to talk about. I talked about the slippage. I talked about the helpful videos. Didn't talk about graphic analysis as much as I wanted to, but we're running on an hour here. One of the important things that I'm always telling people to do, and they think I'm a magician, is if you open up a matrix, for instance, and let's say that there's a ton of blank areas or things just don't seem right. One of the cool things you can do is you can close this. You would right click on the symbol and select DA. What that is doing is it's dumping all the definitions we have for that particular options chain, and it's saying go grab me fresh information. Okay, so if I hit select DA, do you want to delete this asset file? Yes, I do. The only thing it's going to get rid of for you is if you have trades in the trade columns that you were looking at. Existing positions will still be there, but any trades you have in there will be gone. But now I can reopen this again. It's saying start a new asset file. It's going to our servers, and it's giving us a nice clean matrix with nice definitions and good prices again. A lot of times what happens is because if you're doing a lot of back testing, then you're looking at things in real time. There's a lot of information going back and forth between the servers and prices coming into all these strikes, and it basically says get rid of what you have and let's start with a clean slate. It usually clears up any problems people are having with prices in the options chain. Okay. I'll open it up for some quick questions if anybody's got any. We're about 4 minutes away from exactly an hour, a little bit longer than I wanted to go to, but as you can see, I could keep on going with OptionVue for quite some time. Hopefully, maybe I'll do another one and dive into some of the scanning tools. I know people are really interested in those, and also do some more with modeling around earnings and spend more time on the graphic analysis. But this should definitely get anyone that's first just starting out with OptionVue a good head start and a good handle on things going forward. And of course, we're always available to anybody that's got questions. We've got some great tech support guys here. Dave and Ken are always here to help as well. And if there's no more questions, I'm going to go ahead and end it there. Thanks everybody for coming, and I hope this was helpful. Take care.